In this video, I'm going to talk about a t-shirt design checklist that I put together to help all of you that are new to designing t-shirts. Let's go. Thanks for joining me on this video. My name is Juno with Detour Shirts. I've been designing and selling t-shirts since 2005. If that's something you like to learn how to do, if you want to sell t-shirts online and make a profit, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Hit that subscribe button. So in this video, I wanted to talk about a design checklist, a t-shirt design checklist that I made for all of you that are new to designing t-shirts. There are definitely different do's and don'ts and things that you should do when designing a t-shirt, and that's why I came up with this t-shirt design checklist, mainly for people who are new to t-shirt design and need to know kind of the basics. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you examples from Amazon of best-selling t-shirts that are doing these exact same things that I'm calling out on the design checklist. You're going to want to stay to the end so you can see all of it. I'm also going to share with you a resource on how to get this checklist for yourself. And of course, another edition of Trend Credit. So great video today. Hopefully it's really helpful for you, especially you non-designers or new designers to the t-shirt industry. So let's get started. So here I am in Affinity Designer. I'm just using this as a place where I can show you what I'm talking about. The first thing, I want to show you a couple of things before we get into the checklist, but the first thing are the examples that I'm going to show you. We're going to use these examples from Amazon. These are just top selling designs on Amazon. You can see here with these BSRs selling really, really well. I got 3 more down here. These are selling really well too. Look at these BSRs, very, very low, right? So they're making lots and lots of sales. And part of the reason for that is it's good design. Now, these aren't perfect designs. These are okay designs. Some of them have really nice graphics. Some of them are mainly text like this one, and this one's just a simple graphic, right? So they don't always have to be really nice graphic. They can be some simple graphics and things, but I'm going to show you with this design checklist why these tick all the boxes that I'm going to show you. So one more thing I want to talk about before we get into the checklist is this. So there's 2 things that you need to sell a t-shirt. One is good design, and that's all this video is going to talk about, good design. But we also need good content. So I'm not going to talk about the content of the design, who's it for, who the audience is, what kind of type of design it's for, the niches and all of that. I'm just going to talk about, in this video, I'm just going to talk about good design, layout and colors and fonts and things like that. So you need both of these, but this video isn't about both of these, okay? It's only about good design. I may make a video later on about how to find good content and what good content means, but in this video, we're just gonna look at design, just layout, colors, fonts, that kind of thing. So just wanna meet your expectations there if that's what you're thinking about. We're just going to do good design, and that will get you halfway there. The good content is the other half. So you kind of want to do both. That's what this color right here is saying. You need both. You need both good design and also who's it for, good content and things like that. So let's get into the checklist here. I divided it into 3 parts. So the first part is words on a design. So if you're going to use text at all, if you're going to use words on your t-shirt, you need to follow these things on the checklist. First of all, they need to be big enough to read. You can see right here, this is kind of a thumbnail of what the shirts look like. And I can easily read these, even though it's small. I can see this says Amerisaurus Rex, right? I can see this says Ben Drankin. I can read All American Boy on here. So if it's hard for people to read it, then that's not going to help. People won't buy it because they can't read it and they don't know what it says, right? So you can see here, Daddy Shark, do. Really easy. All of these follow that. All of these check this big enough to read. The next thing is contrast. If you're going to use words on there, make sure that the contrast is great. You can see all of these are black designs, and most of these are using white on black, white text on black, and that's because the contrast, that's the best contrast you can get. White on black is very easy to read. Red on black, not as good, but still readable, right? You can see here light color fonts, light color text on here, easier to read, right? You're also going to want some good font choices. Now, there's so many, I can't list all the good fonts, but take a look at this. Thick, bold fonts, right? Even if it's cursive, it's thick enough and big enough to read, right? So be careful with cursive fonts. Sometimes they're very hard to read, so make sure that it's easy to read if you're going to use cursive fonts. But you can see most of these are sans serif fonts, very bold fonts, and easy to see, right? So they all get the check on that for good font choices. 1 to 3 fonts max. So you can see here, this one is using 3 fonts, maybe 2. That all could be the same font as this boy. I don't know, it's kind of small, but let's say that's 3. Ben Drankin, those 2 are the same fonts. This is the same font, 1 font. That's the same font, 1 font. These are all the same font, at least it looks like the same font. This one also looks like the same font. So a lot of these are just using the same font, 1 font, sometimes 2. I wouldn't go more than 3. Okay, so that's why 1 to 3 fonts max. This gets a check. All of these get a check for that. And check spelling. This is very important, especially if English isn't your first language. Make sure that it's spelled correctly. If it's spelled wrong, no one's going to want to buy a misspelled word unless that's intentional. But you can see here, all of them have spelled best dad ever. It's not a dad bot. It's all spelled correctly. So check spelling for sure before you upload it. That gets a check. And not too much text. This one has the most text, but even with this one, you can see it's taking up all that space and it's still easy to read. So the reason why not too much text is if you have lots and lots of text in a big paragraph, it's going to be smaller to fit on the t-shirt, which means it's going to be hard to read and not easy to see. So checking this box will help you check these other boxes as well. So those are the ones for the words. If you're ever going to use words, and I'm guessing most of the time you will use words, you don't have to. You could have just a graphic in there. But if you are going to add words to a t-shirt, make sure to check all of these boxes. These are very important. So that is part 1 of the checklist. Let's get into part 2. So part 2 of this design checklist that I made for you is just going to talk about the overall design, right? Not just the text, but overall the whole thing of the design. So first of all, make sure that it fills the space. Now, it doesn't have to go edge to edge. You can see this one is just a little bit smaller, but I like to have it, and I think it's easier for you to make sure that it fills the tall rectangle. You can see all of these. If you look at the main shape, the basic shape, it's this tall rectangle, right? Tall rectangle. Right here, and try and fill that space. It doesn't have to be totally filled like here with Ben Drankin. You don't need to put stuff to fill in this white space or this dark space, but the overall shape should be a tall rectangle. And you can see all of these get a check mark for that. They all fill that space. The next thing is to create some interest, and all of these have some kind of interest in here. You can see this one has the shades, the sunglasses. This one has some interest with Ben Franklin holding a drink, right? People look at that. So this one has a T-Rex with a cape, very interesting. This one has a shark with eyeglasses. Even just the text here, this is creating interest because we have bigger and smaller fonts, and this reverse block here is creating some interest. Here we have the flag, and it's creating interest because we have words going down sideways, so people have to kind of turn their head right to read it. So that's creating interest as well. So they all get a check for creating interest. Try and put some of that interest into your designs. The next one is it's easy to understand. I can understand what this means. These graphics are related. That's American flag, American, easy to understand. Ben Drankin, it's Ben Franklin who's drinking, easy to understand. Americasaurus Rex, it's a T-Rex that has the American flag in it. I understand that. Daddy Shark, it looks like a shark dad, right? So they all get a check. Easy to understand. You want to make sure that people can get it in 2 to 3 seconds, because if they don't, then they're just thinking about it and they may not buy it, right? So when people are scrolling through, they have to kind of look at it, and understand it within 2 to 3 seconds so that they're like, yes, I get that, I want to buy it. It creates some kind of emotional response to them. So they all get the check for that, easy to understand. So let's look at this contrast now. So same thing with the contrast of the fonts being white. You have to make sure that everything in the design has contrast. Does it stand out? And all of these do. We have the flag here, it's white. This one has the colors, they're light colors. It stands out against the black. And you can see here this Ben Dranken, it's kind of a light colored graphic, so it stands out against the black. And this right here, this dinosaur is a light blue, not a dark blue. If this was a dinosaur that was really dark, like a dark brown on black, that might be hard to see. But because it's blue, you can see that it stands out a lot more. So that's contrast. And then placement, you want to place it right on the chest, right below the neck. You know, not so high, not so low. It has to be kind of right there where all of these are. You can see they all are placed really well. If this Daddy Shark, for example, was moved down where Doo was down here, it would be too low, right? So make sure that it's kind of right on the chest area, and it doesn't have to go edge to edge again, like this one right here. It's kind of inset a little bit, right? So think about that when you're placing your design. And lastly, remove the background. A lot of new designers don't know how to remove that white background, and you can see all of these don't have that white background. The black shirt is showing through, and just make sure you're saving it as a transparent PNG and you won't have the background in the back. So all of these are doing that. They remove the background. That's something that you need to learn how to do either in Affinity Designer or another program that you're using. If you're uploading this and you see a white rectangle on your black t-shirt behind your design, that means that you forgot to remove the background. So make sure to do that. Make sure to test it before you put it out there for sale. So that's the checklist part for overall design, your total design. Make sure that you check all of these when you're doing your design, and it will help you in your overall design. So there's one more bonus or extra part that I want to share with you in this checklist, and let's do that now. So the last part of this checklist I'm calling extras, and that's because you don't actually have to have these. Not all of these have it, but you're going to see that these can help you with your design. So some of the extras include adding graphics. Now you can see not all of these have graphics. If you want to count this rectangle here as a graphic, then I guess all of them have a graphic, but you don't need to have graphics in all of them. You need to create interest, and a good way to create interest is to add graphics, but they don't always need to have graphics. All of these do, so they all get a check mark if we're counting this one as a graphic. The next thing is textures. Now you don't have to add textures, but you can see a lot of these do, and it's because it also creates interest. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can see the textures that I'm talking about. So let's take a look at this. So you can see here, very textured, right? Textured on the flag, textured on this text. This font and the stars have kind of the texture on there. This right here, Amerisaurus Rex, has a texture. And of course in the background on this Daddy Shark and on the whole thing actually has a texture on here. So textures can help you give that vintage look, can help you create that interest as well. So you don't have to have that checked mark there, but it does help. Lastly, on this extras, I want to show you colors that work. Let me move this just a little bit. So the last thing here is colors that work, and make sure that you pick colors that work well together. That's what that means. Colors that work well together. You can find color palettes online. You can just make sure red, white, and blue for this one just is simple for American designs or all American, USA, that kind of stuff. If you're going to do a design for other countries, you could use the country color flags. If you're going to do a vintage design, you can find a vintage color palette, things like that. Just make sure that the colors work well together. Use color theory. You can go online and find great colors that work well together. You don't have to really guess on it anymore. There's lots of places online that can help you pick colors that actually work and help it stand out, especially on black t-shirts. And that is it. That's the last thing on here. Let me show you the whole thing together, the whole checklist together. So here, I made this for you. Here is the whole checklist all together on one paper, so you don't have to go to this video back and forth every time. You can actually download this, and I'll show you where to download it at the end of this video. But first, here it is all together, words in a design. I put it here. You need to have words that are big and easy to read, fonts that are easy to read. Make sure that you're using contrast here. I'm using black on white. You can use white on black. Make sure you get good font choices. Make sure to only use 1 to 3 fonts max. You can see there's just 2 here. And check your spelling and just make sure there's not too much text. It needs to be enough text to get the point across, but not too much that the text is too small and you can't read it, right? So the next thing here is all over design. I put a t-shirt here to kind of show you that it should be a tall rectangle and it should fit in this space. If you're only designing right here to the top of it or to the bottom of it, right, it's not gonna be as big as the people that are filling the space. So you'll notice a lot of times that the really good designs kind of fill up the whole space right here. You're going to want to create some interest with your design. We talked about different ways to do that. Make sure that it's easy to understand again. In 2 to 3 seconds, someone can get it. The contrast overall needs to stand out on the whole t-shirt. And the placement, again, needs to be right here over the chest. If you have something smaller, make sure that it's over the chest like this. You don't want to put it way down here or way up here. Just right over the chest. Make sure that most of your design is on there. And make sure to remove that white background or whatever color background you have there, that the black shirt actually shows through if that's what you want. And the extras right here, you don't have to do these, but these can help when you add graphics, add textures, and use colors that work. So I'm going to put this design checklist on my website. You can go there now and go to downloads. It's absolutely free. It's only $0. All you have to do is sign in and you can get it. It's a digital download. So you can print this yourself. It's going to be a PDF on there on my website. I'll put a link in the description for it. And you can just use this if you're a brand new designer, if you're new to t-shirt design. Take this t-shirt design checklist out and make sure that you're checking all of these off. And I think it would really help you, at least for the first few designs that you're making, to make sure that it fits. So this is just for the design part. Again, I'm going to have to show you how to find good design or good topics, good content to put and design for. And that's going to be a different video, but this will help you out on how to lay out your design and how to use the right fonts and things like that. So hopefully this is really helpful, this resource for you. Let me know in the comments if it is, and make sure to download it if you need to on my website. Thanks so much for watching this video, and your reward for staying all the way to the end is another edition of Trend Credits. Thanks for joining me for this trend credit. Here is your trend for this video. In this family, no one fights alone. So take a look at these. This is for different diseases. Most of the time, this one actually says no one fights alone for military and stuff. But the one that I'm talking about is in this family, no one fights alone for different things. Like this one says colon cancer. This one says brain cancer, I think. Yep, brain cancer, lung cancer. Take a look at this. This one, of course, is breast cancer with the pink ribbon. In this family, no one fights alone. It has the teal ribbon for that one. So there's lots of ways you can do this. You can see this one as well. And take a look at some of these BSRs. They're pretty low. You can see that one's a little higher, but that one's low. That one's low with the unicorn. So lots of different ways. It doesn't have to have the ribbon. It can have unicorns. It can just be this right here with the little ribbon. Look at that, low BSR. So let's check Merch Informer. You can see it's getting an A, so you know it's good. If you don't have Merch Informer, I have a link in the description for Merch Informer where you can get it there and check the competition whenever you want. So back to this trend here. It is in this family, no one fights alone. That is your trend for this video. So that is it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully this design checklist is really helpful for you. If it was, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Oh, I have it down right here. You can hit that subscribe button in the corner. And before I leave, the question of the day is, what is on your design checklist? Did I forget anything on my design checklist? If I did, make sure to leave it in the comments. I can update that design checklist anytime. I can upload a different PDF and make sure that we put on everything for the design checklist, everything for new designers or designers that are just starting off designing t-shirts. I want to make sure that I got everything on that checklist, and that's super helpful. So if you can help me out, and if there's anything I missed, make sure to leave that in the comments. Thanks so much for watching this video. And if you want to see other videos on what to do with t-shirt designs, you can click these videos right here. And as always, guys, keep creating and keep learning. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.